Hey there, artists! Today we're going to be creating an artwork inspired by the Amate bark paintings of Mexico. Making Amate bark paper is an ancient process that is still carried on today by skilled craftsmen using the same processes that were used over 3,000 years ago. It's really amazing. It's a tradition that's being carried on by the indigenous Atomi people living in Puebla, Mexico. Let's pause for just a minute and think about, what does the word indigenous mean? Okay, let's talk about our first step. We're going to be using this really great textured cardboard paper to be mimicking that texture of the Amate bark. And using some white paint, we are making a little box on our paper, but leaving a border. So notice I didn't go all the way to the edge. This is going to prep our paper to make it easier to draw on. And then we're adding our names, and we're going to be putting this on the drying rack until next week. Next, we're going to be sketching, so let's look at some examples of these Amate bark paintings. The artists are usually just observing the beautiful world around them and using it as inspiration, especially the wildlife and the beautiful tropical birds of Mexico. So when you do your sketch today, be thinking about what you would like to include. We're going to be using really bright colors with these, and for my sketch, I'm going to be starting with a bird. Now, I have made stencils for us. If you want to use a stencil, you can. But if you just want to free draw it, you certainly can do that too, just by looking at our inspiration paper. So I'm using one of these bird stencils as just a helpful guide. It's kind of tricky to draw the body of the bird, but I'm going to be adding on extra things like the wings and the tail feathers. When we look at Amate bark paintings, the birds are always very kind of dramatic. The tail feathers are very long, the wings are really big, the birds are usually in motion, flying. So try to really add to that stencil just by making more wings and more tail feathers. You also want to make sure that you're filling up that background space, any of that negative empty space that you see, with other small details. So flowers and vines and leaves are a pretty popular choice for filling up that extra space. You can decide what you would like to add. I'm going with some flowers and some vines that kind of go around the body of my bird. Remember that this is just a sketch, so I'm really not looking for perfection here. I just need to see that you have an idea and that you understand what you will be drawing on your real paper next week when it is dry. We will be keeping these in the classroom so that you can look at it for reference when we get the paper back out next time. Now that our papers are dry, we are ready to sketch out our final design, but I'm going to have my sketch from last week sitting right next to me so that I can reference it while I'm working. It's okay to make changes from your sketch, but I still think it's helpful to have your idea there. So just like we did with our sketch, I'm using our bird stencil to start with just a guide. Now, it's just kind of a very basic template. I need you to add more details to this. So make some big dramatic wings and also some tail feathers. Think about all that blank space and add details like flowers and vines. Definitely start with a pencil just in case you mess up. You can always erase. Artists make mistakes, it's no big deal. And then you can trace those lines with a Sharpie marker. It's okay if your bird goes outside of that white box. It actually looks kind of cool when it breaks that border. Okay, time for our last step, but also my favorite step. We're gonna start adding that color, and I'm using these great neon oil pastels. You decide on the colors that you like to use. Remember that you are the artist, so you really get to make choices about what you like in your own artwork. The goal is not to make it look just like mine. The goal is to have fun and make something beautiful and unique.